Hello there. Welcome to the 64th episode of Split Focus, a film and TV podcast. My name is Simon Eady, and alongside me, I have my co-host and the chauffeur for the Spider-Man No Way Home hype limousine, Adrian Pinter. My friend, how are you today?
General Kenobi, it goes quite well. How are you, Simon Eady?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Are you just going to keep on with the Spider-Man, this one's the multiverse movie one, opening bits?
What are you talking about?
For my name?
What do you mean?
Like I'm the hype conductor, I'm the hype pilot, I'm the hype driver.
Oh, you're noticing a trend. I thought this was wholly original.
No, this is the third time you've done so. Not that I care. You know, you do you, man. You're a creative.
Speaking of that, Andrew Garfield was actually on Jimmy Fallon the other night, this past week. I'm not sure which night it was, some night last week, because you're listener on a Monday, and it would have been the previous week from Monday to Friday, one of those days. Anyways, he was on the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show, and he was interviewed by Jimmy Fallon.
That's my Jimmy Fallon impression.
It's kind of mean. You don't like Jimmy Fallon?
No, he seems like a very nice guy.
Okay. All right. Getting some negative vibes out of the tone of your laugh there. So, apologies to Jimmy Fallon. Adrian may not like you.
I do like you.
I'm not sure.
I
like you. You're great. You're great, Jimmy.
I do like you, Jimmy. No, but not that Jimmy. I don't like our Jimmy. I like Jimmy
damn
Fallon.
it. I was going to take that out. I was going to cut it together and make it sound like you liked Jimmy. Jimmy, by the way, audience members, is our audiovisual technician. He's a real pro, and Adrian doesn't like him for some stupid reason. I don't want to get into it.
Arguably, half of his job is redundant because there's no visual aspect to this podcast. But anyways.
Well, there was in our previous podcast. That's why he was an audio video technician. Anyways, regardless, we're on YouTube now. We're on YouTube. We've got some graphics that we put up on YouTube for our podcast. We're now on, if you don't know, audience as well, we are on every platform pretty much that's popular for podcasts. And now we're most recently added to YouTube in audio form only. Incredible.
Yeah.
And that's in large part because of Jimmy. So I don't know, not Jimmy Fallon, but Jimmy, the audiovisual technician who works for
no, Jimmy Fallon, actually. It is Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon has a side job. He's not making enough from the Tonight Show.
After his role in Jurassic World, he decided to come work for us.
Yeah, that's right. That's his new side job. No longer is it to work in really small parts for Jurassic Park movies only, but it's now to work with us. No, that's not the case. It's not the case. This is a different Jimmy. Anyways, we're really sidetracked here. Andrew Garfield was asked a direct question from Jimmy Fallon. He asked the hard questions, and it's funny because Andrew Garfield's arguably even larger than in real life. If he was sitting in the actual studio talking to Jimmy Fallon, it was like a Zoom call, but he's just like on this giant screen. And you can just see all his emotions. But Jimmy Fallon's like, "Have you seen that photo of you with Tobey Maguire on the set of Spider-Man No Way Home?" And I thought that was quite the question. And Andrew Garfield was like, didn't quite know what to say. It's worth looking at. But he's good. He's good. If he's not going to be in this movie, or if he is or whatever, if he is going to be in it, I feel like, I don't know. I can't tell because Andrew Garfield is quite good at hiding.
He's an actor.
He's acting. He's acting in real life, even on talk shows.
He also hates Mondays.
Yes, you're so clever.
It's actually from a BoJack Horseman reference, Simon. You wouldn't get it.
Wait, BoJack Horseman, there was a reference to Andrew Garfield and then about him hating. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's in the first season.
Oh, cool. I just came off of, just before we started recording this, listening to Smartless with Will Arnett, who's also obviously in BoJack. Anyways, there's a couple of things that happened this week. Last week, we talked about Christopher Nolan's new movie, which is a World War II film, or it's going to be a World War II film about Oppenheimer, who created the atom bomb. And there was a big question about whether Christopher Nolan would end up going to work back at Warner Brothers again, if the Warner Brothers is going to fund the film or if it's going to be a different studio this time. The reason that question even arose in the first place is because of the fact that HBO Max, that whole HBO Max deal with the 17 films in 2021, how Warner Brothers announced that every film of the blockbusters they were launching this year for the 2021 year, they were all going to launch simultaneously on HBO Max at the same time as in theaters, which was a huge controversy. Nolan spoke out about it. He was like, that's stupid. HBO Max is the worst streaming service, yada, yada, yada. But a deal has been struck. So he was putting his new film, the World War II film about Oppenheimer, on the market. And apparently, Universal Studios scooped it up. So it is true.
Oh my goodness.
Warner Brothers, for the first time in like 20 years, will not have a Nolan film. They will not have exclusive rights to Nolan's films anymore. It's a crazy situation.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Neither of us even guessed that it would be Universal. Funnily enough, we both thought. I thought like maybe Sony, and then you mentioned Netflix as a good possibility
Because of Scott Stuber.
Yeah, exactly.
He was just the content chief was like trying to get him. It seemed like he was definitely on the hunt, and I thought it wasn't impossible. But
now it is.
It's weird because Universal is NBC and NBC is Peacock, and I kind of figured it was either going to be like Netflix, which is the ultimate streaming service, which would just buy into whatever Nolan wanted in terms of a theatrical exclusivity release, and then it would be on Netflix afterwards. Mm-hmm. Or it was going to be somebody like Sony. That's kind of where I liked your idea that it was going to be Sony, because I felt like, because Sony doesn't have a streaming service, and they kind of, they're not going anywhere the wind blows, but they have had Greyhound on Apple TV Plus. They've had various other movies on Netflix, and they've got to deal with Netflix. They got to deal with Disney Plus in some regard. And so I think they would choose to put everything as a theatrical release, like Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which has been delayed like 15 times and then backwards delayed and is now coming out on October 1st.
Backwards delayed. I like that.
But yeah, I agreed with you. I thought Sony was a good choice.
Yeah. Venom's only an hour and a half, which is kind of nice.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. I hope it's good.
Me too.
I hope it's better than the first one.
Me too. I don't think it's going to take much, though.
I really like Andy Serkis as an actor, but I haven't seen anything that he's made, like directing wise, that's been phenomenal yet. Maybe I just missed it if there's something that I haven't seen that is amazing, but it's all been, it's pretty good. It's good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But
I'm definitely curious how it's going to turn out. I do want to watch this movie. If
anyone's good at mocap, I'm sure he's great at directing mocap, because he's probably the greatest actor at mocap ever. But
the mocaptor, as I like to call him.
The mocaptain?
The mocat actor. The mocaptor.
Oh, yeah. That's really stretching it.
Whatever.
You definitely didn't workshop that joke. Let's just say that.
No, obviously not, Simon. You just got to keep it going. You got to be more of a yes and person. You know what I mean? Improv classes. Start going with those. Anyways.
You just need to have better jokes. Anyway.
You just need to have better follow-ups to my quality jokes. Anyways.
How long were you going to say that for? I feel like that this has gone on too long. Let's move on to the other piece of news, this like brief piece of news, because we talked about this before. LeVar Burton no longer wishes to be a part of Jeopardy at all. He's just not going to do it. He's just decided that it's not actually something he's interested in.
Interesting. I remember you explicitly said that he would want to be a part of it. So
yeah. Well,
I guess that's a minor correction.
No, hardly not a correction. I wouldn't say so. At the time, I'd argue that he did, because he literally said it on the air. He's like, I want to be part of this. Nothing to correct.
But not anymore.
I don't think.
Wonder what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it is odd. It is a very strange situation, but there must be some kind of backroom drama that must have happened. It was a very strange situation anyways. The executive producer hiring himself as the host seemed a little weird when everyone was calling for LeVar Burton to be the host, and now he doesn't want it. But he said, actually, I think it was on Trevor Noah's show, he was saying that he's over it anyways, and he's got a lot of job offers because of his stint on Jeopardy. So it actually might have worked out for him anyway. But yeah, it's interesting. And then there's also another piece of news.
What?
Yes, I know. There's lots of little pieces of tidbits. tidbit correction type situations here. The Grandmaster, Nona Gaprindashvili.
Nailed it.
Yes, I did. She's a Georgian Grandmaster of chess, but she feels like she's insulted. She's been slighted by the production team for Queen's Gambit because they mention her specifically in the show. There's like a one-off, like a throwaway line in which she's called out for only playing against women as a chess master, that she never played against men. But by that time in the show, when they say that line, she had actually played, apparently, according to her, she had played over 50 people, 50 men specifically. So that's not true that she only played women in chess. She played lots of men as well. And she finds this to be slander, and she's going to sue Netflix for this. Now this, in my opinion, is a little silly. I'm not sure what you're thinking there, Adrian.
Like I can get it from her perspective, but at the end of the day, this is not like this is a fictional story. Like this is altering history. So, I mean, hypothetically speaking, in this alternate version of history, maybe she didn't play anyone, but I can see how she could be upset about it. Like, you know. Yes,
I would agree. I would have made a statement as soon as the show came out, which came out a long time ago at this point. I would know because
at this point,
I watched it for 2 years straight. You know, I just couldn't finish the damn thing. But even though it's an incredible show, it's amazing. I just was slow as heck. But I agree. She should be maybe like kind of feel slighted. I know, you know, if I was a grandmaster of chess, I might say, "Hey guys, come on, what you forgot about me?" I might like tweet that on Twitter or something, and then I would get like, I don't know, some retweets from some other celebrities, and then people would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm so sorry," but I would not sue anyone. I'm sorry. I just wouldn't. It just doesn't make sense to me. That like that's just like, can you just sue people for anything then? Just sue people for whatever it is. They can say whatever. Like people should be able to say whatever they want. I don't understand why this matters. If it's a fictional story, this is not a biopic. Anyway, yeah, it's a little weird to me. I don't necessarily agree with it. Don't sue me, Nona Gaprindashvili. You know,
I hope she does.
Maybe for like mispronouncing her name, because I feel like I'm really butchering it.
Yeah.
But yeah. She also called it sexist, which I thought was a little weird.
The show?
Yeah. She thought it was sexist that they would say that she's only played against
women,
but I don't know. That's more like, it was like plot convenience as opposed to sexism, because it's literally about a woman chess player who's incredible at chess. So the sexism part is lost on me a little bit, but yeah, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it was meant to suggest that there wasn't a woman chess player who was any good.
That the only woman chess player that could play against men is a fictionalized character. I can see it from that angle.
Yeah,
but to be fair, I'm probably not the person to talk about sexism. Me personally.
I don't know, actually, because it's a fictional character, and if there was like, there was likely women chess masters that could have been more, but because of sexism, that's the reason they didn't face men. That I don't understand. I feel like I don't think this is sexism, but again, I could be wrong. It's just a very strange situation, and I'm a little it's a little off-putting that she would sue for it specifically, but it is what it is. Yeah, and then. Lastly, there was footage of Daniel Craig saying a speech on set of the No Time to Die James Bond film, and I teared up a little bit. I must say, he teared up. He choked up when he was speaking to his crew, and I was like, "Oh man, it's very heartwarming." He was talking about how much he loved working on the James Bond films, despite the fact that there's a lot of rumors swirling, or have been rumors swirling for years, that he doesn't like it, and. I feel like he kind of pretty much debunked it in one swift speech to his crew, but I don't know.
I still got to watch the other, there's 4 in total. I've only watched Casino Royale, so I got to watch the other 3.
Casino Royale is probably the best one, but you didn't really like it that much, so I don't know if you're really keen on it. I'm definitely keen on watching No Time to Die, because it is Daniel Craig's last James Bond film, and because I do like the rest of the series. Skyfall is probably the second best.
Which is the third one?
Yeah. The second one, Quantum of Solace, like for Daniel Craig's films, is, I think I've said this before, but it feels like it's a going through the motions type scenario where it feels like it's like a simulation of your James Bond film. Mm-hmm. And then Spectre kind of feels the same way. I don't know. Spectre's a weird one. But Christoph Waltz is in Spectre. So you gotta love that.
Yeah.
He's also in No Time to Die, as you might have seen from the trailers.
I have.
All right.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll probably go through those. I got, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that movie comes out? It's like early October, I think. So I'll watch the other 3 movies, and then maybe we can go, Simon.
Indeed. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. Good stuff. I should say, like, as an actual correction from last week, you did mention that Cry Macho is a Western.
Is it not?
The Cry Macho is a Clint Eastwood directed film with Clint Eastwood acting in it, which I didn't realize Clint Eastwood would also be in that movie. Clint Eastwood is like over 90 years old at this point. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's pretty old.
Like an American treasure. He's 91. He must have been at least 90 when he was like actually in production for Cry Macho.
Wild. I can't even count that back.
Cry Macho is not a Western. It takes place in modern times. It has Western elements, I guess, in that Justified has Western elements. If you were to think of, I guess, Justified with Timothy Olyphant as a Western in a way. But, yeah.
So it's not a Western?
No. It takes place in like 2000 something. Probably 2020.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. It looks neat. Oh. I did see the trailer for it. It looked good. I just noticed on the when I was editing that you did say it was a Western. I was like, oh, it isn't. So I thought I would just chime in and mention that here because we try to be accurate on our show. So we have this small segment. If we make a mistake, we will mention it on our show. If we make a mistake from previous weeks, if you have a correction for us, or if you have any questions or comments to make to us, please email us at splitfocuspodcast@gmail.com, and we will definitely address your comments or corrections on the show. I welcome you all to write into us anytime. All right, Adrian, what have you been watching this week, my friend?
Oh my goodness, Simon, what have I been watching? Well, I watched the entirety of season 5 of Rick and Morty.
Wow.
Yeah. It just finished, I think, like a week or two ago, and I like the show enough. Like, it used to be, really high on my list of TV series, and I took the free trial in Stack TV through Amazon Prime. And let me tell you this real quick about Stack TV. This service is $14 a month, and there is an ad in the middle of every single episode that's 30 seconds, right in the middle. And I was like, this is fucking preposterous. So I would never pay for this service, and that's my review of Stack TV. $14 a month, and there's a fucking goddamn stupid 30-second ad in the middle of like a 20 some odd minute episode, and it's preposterous. Also, the autoplay functionality, every episode of Rick and Morty, there's always an after credit scene in every single episode, and for whatever goddamn reason in the Stack TV application, as soon as the credits start going, it does the autoplay thing, and you have like 5 seconds to be like, no, stay on this episode so I can watch the after credit scene.
Can't you turn it off? You must be able to turn it off.
You must, but I didn't bother looking into it. But it's just like, you'd think that it would just be intelligent enough not to do that, because I'm sure there are people watching Rick and Morty on Stack TV with this autoplay feature defaulted to on, missing all these after credit scenes.
Amazon had that for me. Like Amazon Prime had autoplay. They all seem to have autoplay as a default, and I turn it off on almost every one of them as long as I can find the setting. It's so annoying. I don't like autoplay. I don't like it making it a small little icon so they can advertise some other show. I don't care about that. I just want to look at the credits and watch the names go by. That is what I want. And you should, as a TV producer or a film producer, you should have respect for the people who made this show, whether it be Jack Ryan or, The Boys. I want to see it. Yeah. I want to see it. And I want to hear the score. So
Simon loves names and scores and wants to watch it.
Call me pretentious, but I want to see the credits there, Adrian.
That's fair, man. I get it, dude. But anyways, into the actual review of the season, of season 5 of Rick and Morty. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's, it still has that same charm of Rick and Morty, this very witty, ridiculous humor, full of puns and just off off the wall sort of ridiculous scenarios happening between, Rick, who is the grandfather of Morty, going on these like wild adventures together. A lot of screen time with the family and stuff like that. And just a bunch of random characters being produced. Like Rick and Morty itself is, just a comedy, like a cartoon comedy show. It's been around for around like 6-7 years at this point, because there's been, little breaks between each season. And I really like it. Again, the show revolves around a almost like a Doc and Marty from Back to the Future. And it's like a parody of that almost. That's really how it started, funnily enough, by one of the creators, Justin Roiland. And then Dan Harmon, partnered up with him and made a more cohesive and arguably better TV show because of that. Justin Roiland actually voices both Rick and Morty. And again, it's a really funny show. I like it. There are a couple of episodes in the show or in this season in particular, that I actually really, really loved. And it's always those episodes that kind of explore the more deeper sides of specific characters, most notably Rick more of the time. And, where it balances this like sense of, ridiculous comedy with some actual like very heartfelt moments. And I think Rick and Morty does this fairly consistently throughout its like, 5-season run so far. But again, there are a few episodes where I'll just kind of like, whatever. This one's kind of like, I could take it or leave it. I feel like a lot of, with this show in particular, from I would argue season 3 on, there's like a lot of just straight up forgettable episodes. And I just finished the season. I binged it in like a matter of days, and I can honestly only think of like 4 or 5 episodes that I fully remember or know what kind of happened. But again, it still really holds up. I still like Rick and Morty, and I think you even said this before when I talked about it back in the day, that I really feel like the fandom almost ruined this show for me. Like, because I really, really loved this series. I watched, the first season on TV, watched all of season 2 as it was airing. And then I feel like when season 3 came out, that first episode of season 3 with the Szechuan sauce, which is a phenomenal episode. And then you had that like one fucking dumb kid that went into a McDonald's screaming that he's Pickle Rick, just jumping on the goddamn counter, begging for Szechuan sauce. And I was like, oh God, it's all downhill from here.
It's crazy. I wonder how many people were kind of turned off the show a little bit just because of this. Because of this
ravenous fan base that is just absolutely out of their goddamn mind.
I feel like I'm a little bit less. I don't know. I feel like when you used to talk about it constantly. Like you loved this show so much that you would mention your excitement for any subsequent seasons. But once that crazy Pickle Rick standing on a table in McDonald's situation happened, I feel like it went downhill for me too, just because of the concept of, I guess I just didn't see as much hype for it. But hopefully the show is still not well reviewed, but well watched, like well viewed by the audience.
It must be. Like, I'm sure it is. Like, I'm sure it lost some viewership once all that started happening. And because honestly, like the main thing for me is like, I do not want to be associated with a fan base like that. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's just like, I don't want someone to be like, oh, Rick and Morty, like you watch that shit. Like you're like that idiot that jumped on the McDonald's countertop screaming and literally being like, I'm Pickle Rick. Like, God, it's just so cringe. It's like fucked. Again, I still really love this show. I still think it's fantastic. It's one of the best like comedies around. Dan Harmon is just a genius when it comes to comedy. Again, Community being one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, arguably, if not my favorite. But yeah, I don't know. I do recommend it. Did you ever? I can't remember. Like, I know you watched season 3. Did you ever watch season 4?
No. Because I didn't know where to watch it. Where can I watch it?
Again, you can watch it on Stack TV with the free trial, but then you got to watch this 30 goddamn second ad in between every 20-minute episode.
There's too many streaming services. There really are. This is a problem, actually.
It's a channel through Amazon Prime.
I know. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. It
actually did lose viewership quite a bit for season 5. Like its last episode was at 0.94 million. But I think that could be just a consequence of it airing on TV. Like this is I think Nielsen ratings. So I don't think this really represents much, because I'd imagine most people are watching Rick and Morty online through streaming. I'm pretty sure the numbers I'm looking at the Wikipedia list of Rick and Morty episodes. Wikipedia does a good job with that, actually. For the people who, contribute to Wikipedia, they create these like episode list pages, but they tell you the viewership as well as who directed and who wrote each episode. And I've always liked that they do that. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't look great for viewership in terms of on TV. But yeah, I didn't watch it, and I do want to watch it. I got to take a look at where season 4 is, because I do have the instinct to watch it. My brother started watching it quite a bit, Rick and Morty, like most recently. Like he hadn't gotten into it until to recently, and he every once in a while he just says Rick and Morty is one of the greatest shows. He just thinks that it's amazing. So I think that's cool. And then, actually, I should mention this too, because it's kind of related. Did you see those little clips of Christopher Lloyd playing?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Rick,
with the one kid from It, right?
And from Defending Jacob. Yeah, and from It.
Yeah.
He. That's interesting. It's an interesting situation. Do you think that they would make one episode, and not, it would be kind of funny if they just ignored the fact that it happened, but they just play it off as if it's just a regular episode? It's like episode 5 of season 6 is just Christopher Lloyd and this guy from Defending Jacob
and It,
who I don't know his name. You know what I'm saying? Like they just do a live action episode, but they don't point it out. They don't really draw attention to it. They just do that. Or they can create it where they become live action midway through the episode. That could have been cool as well. It's weird though, because they did a few clips. They actually released a few clips with them. It's not just one, which I thought was interesting too.
Yeah, I thought that was super neat. I wouldn't be surprised if they get around to doing something like that. Like Dan Harmon is very creative, and he likes, like pushing these boundaries and doing these like that sort of neat stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go that route. I would like that, actually. Just do a little one-off. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it could be neat. I got to get it back into it. I do like it a lot. I did enjoy the first 3 seasons. I fell behind is what happened.
Yes.
I fell behind. All right, Adrian, what else did you watch this week? Anything else?
I watched the I guess I'll keep this one brief. I watched the finale of Ted Lasso. God damn, this show's fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. If you have a PlayStation 5, you got a 6-month free trial of Apple TV. If you buy a new iPhone, you get a year trial of Apple TV. Watch this goddamn show. Any way you can, get around to it. Ted Lasso is phenomenal. I love this show so goddamn much. So I'll keep that brief. If you want to hear more deep thoughts, listen back like 2 or 3 episodes ago when I really just like went into it.
To be quite honest, later in the show we'll likely talk about Ted Lasso because the Emmys were yesterday. So we'll talk about it a little bit more further on into this episode.
Okay, so, I like it.
Stay tuned, listener. Stay tuned.
This is the Emmy episode. But yeah, that's my brief review of Ted Lasso as well. And then I watched the most recent What If episode. What if Killmonger saved Tony Stark at the beginning of Iron Man 1? Yes,
indeed.
Yeah.
And?
It was all right. Again, this show continues to be middling. I think this episode actually started off very strong. I was really liking it at first, the first 15 minutes or so. And then it just kind of it gets very convoluted at the end. There's something about it that just like I just fell off and eventually got bored. It's cool that so much of the cast was brought in. And whoever played Tony Stark did a fairly good impression. It took about like a minute or so to really get into it. But like after a minute, I was like, yeah, that's Tony Stark. I'm fine with that. But again, I don't like this show. I just don't like this show. I think it's very middling. And where these episodes end so often, I think with the vast majority of them, except for, the Doctor Strange one, which I think is a genuinely great episode of television, it leaves a lot to be desired. And I brought this up after the zombies episode where I'm thinking like they have to continue these stories. Like if they do a season 2, like the way these episodes end are very cliffhanger-ish. Are they just going to keep on doing random stories or are they going to continue these small arcs? I don't know. It makes you wonder. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like it, unfortunately. What did you think?
Liked it again. I'm siding with the critics and most of the populace who's watching this because it's again over 90% of Rotten Tomatoes. But I do like it. I think that it's quick and the pacing is fast, and that's just the nature of what it is. It's a 30-minute show. They're 30-minute episodes specifically. I just found it interesting, and it was very dark, which I appreciated as well, kind of like the Doctor Strange one. and I'm liking the darker tones. Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily ends on a cliffhanger, or more so there's a reason for that that's a Disney related reason, the reason why they ended it the way they did. If you catch my drift there, Adrian, wink wink.
I'm picking up what you're putting
tickle
down.
tickle. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. I don't know, and I do like it. I thought it was good. The only thing I thought about since last week, because we talked about this, and you asked about whether they might pick up some of these episodes for next season. I'm wondering if this is a testing ground, almost like a pitch to the audience to say, hey, which one of these do you like? Because we can make this into not a live action necessarily, but maybe a live action, or like a live action TV series maybe. We can show various aspects in the upcoming Loki season. Like, there's so many options here that they could do, if you know what I'm saying. Like, the fact that Loki's doing this thing with alternate universes as well, maybe Loki finds himself in a situation where he sees one of these universes, one of the ones that people are really thinking is popular. It's an interesting testing ground. Like, I think it's pretty well produced. The animation style is quite nice. They get a lot of the actors that they've had throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe already. I think it's a little bit fast paced. I would agree with that. And they do end on these weird marks where you're like, oh, I wish it would continue because I want to see more. I wish they had more time. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if maybe they're testing it out, and then they can create another animated show maybe based on one of these episodes, like Zombies, theoretically. Yeah. It's an interesting situation, because the cool thing about this is that it's not canon, but it's canon, but it's not really canon, because there's potentially infinite multiple universes out there. You know what I mean? So you don't really have to address anything too much, because none of it matters in reality.
Nothing matters, baby. Nothing.
And even the voices, when the voice is not correct, it's like, Robert Downey, whatever, Tony Stark's voice is slightly different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, his puberty happened differently for him for some reason. Nature versus nurture, you know?
Yeah.
It was interesting. I did enjoy this episode, but I figured you wouldn't like it again.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I want to like it. It's just, I don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just don't. Yeah, it's too bad.
The last thing that I watched, and this is something I sent to you actually, sorry, we don't talk outside this podcast. Of course I didn't send it to you. But Jimmy sent it to you, and I hope you watched it, because he did send it to you. But the Nightmare Alley trailer, did you watch that? The Guillermo del Toro directed film, which is coming out by the end of the year. I think it's coming out in December. And I have this weird feeling that I don't know, it might be a sleeper cell for like the Oscars. Like, it could get nominated and win.
I mean, Guillermo del Toro is no stranger to the Oscars. Like, he literally won for Shape of Water.
I know.
Shape of Water did win Best Picture. But yeah, I don't know. I did watch this trailer, and it looks really great. Honestly, this year is stacked for movies. These last like few months with like Dune, One Night in Soho, this movie, a bunch of other movies that I can't think of. West Side Story, Eternals, House of Gucci. Like, there's many freaking movies coming out in these last like 3 months that it's kind of wild to think about. Like, this next bit is absolutely stacked, and I'm really happy about that, because it's going to give me more excuses to go to the theaters, as long as they don't close down. But yeah, I don't know. I thought this trailer is pretty neat. It doesn't show too much. I don't really know what the movie's about.
Yeah, right? What a good trailer in general. Like, as a concept of a trailer, of what a trailer should be, hype you up for the film, but don't tell you what the whole plot is in like the duration of a 3-minute trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly that. And the cast is stacked, man.
Wild. Like, Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett. Trailer's starting in front of me right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I summoned it with my voice. But anyways, I'm very
Horse.
Sorry?
She's in it as well.
Who?
Dream Horse.
Oh, Toni Collette. I know you joke about Toni Collette, and you've said that she's somehow plays a horse in Dream Horse, but on multiple episodes of our show, you know, if anyone needs to apologize to one of the creators out there, it's you. But
it's true. I love Toni Collette.
She is actually amazing.
Yeah.
She's so good in Hereditary. I must say, like, I cannot believe to this day that she did not get nominated for that role at the Oscars. That was a shock to me. But whatever. Who knows why? Who knows?
Fuck the Oscars. It's an inside baseball reference right there.
Yeah, inside baseball of video games. I apologize to Kenneth Sedabauer for Adrian making a reference to a video game award show on a TV and film podcast. Come on, Adrian. It's unprofessional.
It is unprofessional, Simon, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, Ken. Anyways, yeah, this trailer looks good. It
does look good. And you mentioned something interesting that I kind of want to bring up briefly. You said that there's a lot of films coming out this year that are of high caliber that are really good. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned a bunch of movies that aren't Marvel movies. You didn't mention like Venom, Let There Be Carnage. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't mention Eternals, but
oh, you did. Well, which could be, I don't know, it could be nominated. Who knows? That's an interesting.
Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, because it's Chloe Zhao. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because of the fact, Adrian, that there's this constant thing, this idea floating around on the internet and elsewhere that stop making superhero movies because just make something original. Just make something original. It's one of the most annoying arguments. I don't know if you agree with me, but they do. Every year there's hundreds of movies made that are just incredible and they get nominated or don't get nominated. They might get ignored, like Uncut Gems as an example.
Yeah.
And there's so many good ones that come out. They're original and incredible and people don't watch them. And then they say, don't bring out the next Star Wars movie because to make something original. It's like, I don't understand this argument. It just seems so stupid to me. It's a dumb thing.
Yeah, man, I agree completely because I bet you $1 billion that like half the people, if not more than half the people complaining about that shit aren't the ones going out to the theater watching these like indie flicks and stuff like that. And they're just bitching for bitching's sake. So
the reason I'm bringing this up is because once again, a director has thrown shade at Marvel movies. Denis Villeneuve this time. And he said, I think it might have been a Spanish publication. He was a part of an interview, and he said a lot of Marvel movies are just cut and paste. So he was basically just throwing shade at Marvel films, and it's not.
I mean, he's not totally wrong because again, like you make this argument all the time, and I agree with you that like Black Panther is just Iron Man formula. Like so many of these Marvel origin movies are the same. And you've even made that argument for Shang-Chi, which I agree with slightly, but I think it does enough different to, bring it way high up on my list. But yeah, I don't know. It's stupid. Like, stop. Like, why are you bitching about this shit? Like what does this accomplish? And I really, really like Neil Blomkamp, who directed probably best known for like District 9, Chappie, and I think Elysium was his other movie.
Yeah.
He just came out with another movie, which unfortunately didn't review well. But he literally just like quote tweeted, I think Fandom like posted this article about Denis Villeneuve's statement, and he literally just quote tweets it like, what a fucking asshole. And it's I think it's a little blunt, it's a little bit harsh, but I won't lie, it made me laugh.
He kind of rolled it back, actually. I don't know if you saw that, but he kind of rolled that statement back by saying he's being sarcastic because he likes Villeneuve's movies quite a bit. Like he loves his movies. So that's good that he kind of rolled it back, but it is very pretentious. Like he says, perhaps these types of movies have turned us into zombies a bit. Like,
it's like, shut up.
So tired. But you know what's crazy is that James Gunn, when he was talking, he was on like the press tour for the Suicide Squad. Somewhere along there, he was asked about Martin Scorsese, and I think it's because of the fact that James Gunn obviously has dedicated a lot of his career to making really cool superhero films.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 and the new The Suicide Squad.
Which is amazing, by the way. The Suicide Squad, I kind of wish I saw it in theaters again. I think I kind of... too. I feel like I should have supported it again because I don't know if you know this, but it didn't do that well in the box office. It didn't do nearly as well as I wish it did because it's so good, and I really hope that he gets another crack at making the Suicide Squad 2 or whatever the heck he can name it at this point. The Suicide Squad? I don't know.
That's a good one.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad. Incredible. Hire me, Warner Brothers. But anyways, the thing about James Gunn said about Martin Scorsese was he was kind of annoyed at the fact that Scorsese was actually on this press tour for The Irishman, and he was basically taking a shot at Marvel coincidentally while The Irishman was just about to go into theaters and hit Netflix. And coincidentally now, Denis Villeneuve's movie is coming out next month, and all of a sudden he takes a crack at Marvel when he hasn't done that really before.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel's obviously huge. This Marvel Cinematic Universe is a massive publicity magnet. So I do wonder, based on what James Gunn said, it does seem very familiar that he's doing this in the same fashion that Martin Scorsese did when he called Marvel movies, whatever, theme park films or whatever. So.
Yeah. That's a good point, man. Because again, like what's the saying? Any press is good press.
Yeah. Roughly, that's the saying. But yeah, that's a good point.
I made that up. No big deal.
Yeah, you made it. It's made up today.
Yeah.
Today, this very day. On what day is it today? I don't even know.
19th, 18th,
September
18th.
September. Yep. Excellent. All right.
It's not October. October. We went over that.
We established that last week. If audience, you're interested in how we established that it's not October right now, please check out our last week's episode 63, where we go into that in great detail. Incredible.
Time travel.
It's an incredible moment in that episode. Time travel. Yes, we travel through time. Anyways, yeah, I thought I'd bring that up because I thought that was kind of ridiculous. That Denis Villeneuve said that. Again, it's just tired. Stop it already. There's a bunch of people saying, like, why are you bashing these films? Because, like, you're a filmmaker too. I want to see Denis Villeneuve make a Marvel movie. That would be amazing. Chloe Zhao, he actually praised the fact that Marvel hired Chloe Zhao before he said the statement. That's why I also think it's a little bit pressy, Dune press tour-ish in his statements, in his comments. But he mentioned that Chloe Zhao being hired by Marvel for Eternals was a great move by Disney and amazing because he's such a fan of Chloe Zhao's work. So it's funny now that kind of contradicts this statement. But then again, Eternals will likely not be cookie cutter Marvel formula. So like it will likely be Spider-Man Far From Home or Spider-Man potentially No Way Home or Homecoming or Winter Soldier type ordeal where it's an original plot that doesn't follow that same origin story format.
Yeah.
But anyway, indeed, Adrian, did you watch anything else this week? Is there anything else that you watched that I'm not seeing here?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember if I watched anything, so.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the news then. Let's move on to the news. Our 3 news stories for the week. Let's begin with a small collection of more focused stories that have been particularly pertinent this week. Number 1. The 73rd annual Emmy Awards ceremony aired on Sunday night, with comedian Cedric The Entertainer hosting the affair. The event was directed by veteran event director Hamish Hamilton and was presented at the LA Live event deck to a limited, COVID-regulated number of attendees. Adrian, did you watch the Emmy Awards ceremony or not? What happened? Because I heard of some drama from our mutual colleague, Jimmy, the technician.
Simon, I watched live updates of the Emmys.
Oh.
Because we spoke on this show before that the Emmys would be airing on Paramount Plus, the streaming service.
Yes, we did.
But alas, Simon, using the power of the free trial, I accessed Paramount Plus through the Apple TV application on my PlayStation 5. And you know what I didn't find, Simon?
The Oscars?
Well, I mean, yeah, I didn't find that either. But I didn't find the live stream for the Emmys, unfortunately. And it's because here in Canada...
What? Unbelievable.
Here in Canada, you need a goddamn cable subscription to watch it through...
For everything. Bell is living in the Stone Age, folks. It really is. And the truth is, so I've got like a family member who has a Rogers subscription here in Canada. And so I sometimes bum it off of them to get access to specifically just live event shows. It's the only thing I really need on there. Otherwise, I get everything else from streaming services, or I'll rent something, or so on and so forth. But I also tried the Paramount Plus free trial, the 7-day free trial, thinking, this might be faster because I couldn't remember the password for the Rogers Anyplace TV or what the heck they're calling it now. And it wasn't on there, and I was like, oh, I feel bad for Adrian. That's for sure, because I knew that's the way you were going to get in on that. I think that was correct in the United States, though. I'm pretty sure it was.
It is, yeah.
It's just, the licensing agreements for Canada, obviously, go to Bell. And so Bell calls the shots, and Bell doesn't like streaming services. They're living again. I just wonder, I was going to say they're living in the Stone Age. They're not living in the Stone Age. That's a long time back. But they're old fashioned in their ways. And I'm wondering about the future. Are they thinking about future generations at all? Or are they just living in this weird utopia of all of these retirees are going to be around for the rest of time. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any young person really that has a cable subscription, or maybe I know one or two, but it's very rare. And I mean, I'm not that young anymore. Like, I'm 30. It's like a little strange. I don't know. We talked about this before. I'm sure you have a different perspective because you got completely locked out this year of watching this event.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I just don't get it. I don't understand why they're living in the past still. Like, I feel like so many people, especially in our demographic and definitely younger, they use streaming services, and that's really it. Like, I honestly don't know anyone with a cable subscription, realistically. Like, none of my friends do. Maybe their parents do, if they're still living with their parents, and they have access to that. But even if they do have it, I don't think they watch it. So it's quite frustrating. I was really excited when you read that news story, however long ago, about it airing on Paramount Plus, and I'm like, hell yeah, they're making progress, and they are in the States. But again, this monopolization here in Canada, it really sucks, and it does not benefit the consumer. And I'm curious how long this is gonna continue for. Like, are there contracts in place and that they have to only air it online for a specific period of time or whatever? I don't know, but I'm hoping this ends sooner rather than later, man.
I also don't know when it ever will, to be honest. Even if you look at Bell, they're living back in time in terms of their own streaming service. Like, Crave only got 4K like 3 weeks ago or something. Like, it's unreal. They're living back in time for almost every piece of this puzzle, and I'm not sure, are they not seeing the dollar signs? Because Dolby Atmos 4K has been here for a long time, and they're not catching on. Streaming services been here for a long time. You have Crave, put it on Crave. You are Bell Media. It's just it just doesn't make sense. Even on CTV, this is the most ridiculous thing. So I had to watch it on the CTV app on my Apple TV, right? I put it on. I log into their dumb portal with Rogers, and they make me watch an ad before it starts. That's unrelated to the ads that you're already going to watch on the actual stream. Like, you're going to watch commercial breaks anyway. It's not like you're not going to do that, but they force you to watch an ad before you even get into the content. It's egregious.
That's frustrating.
It's egregious because at one point in the stream, actually just before the announcement of the best drama series, it froze and it wouldn't load. And it wasn't my internet. My internet was fine everywhere else. There was no problem with my internet for sure. I tested it at that moment. I was like, why is it frozen? I don't understand. I back out and I go in and I have to watch a 1 minute ad. I missed 2-1. It's like, why? Why are you doing this? We're already getting the ads. They're in between. Like, these awards shows are known for how many ads they have. Again, they're living in the past, and they're just not getting it. And I don't know if they'll ever get it before. I don't think they're going to go bankrupt, but because they can monopolize it, unless the CRTC steps in and says this is ridiculous, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bell and Rogers run Canada. They're again monopolizing, as you said before. But anyways, enough about that. This is an awards show.
We should take them out.
Sorry?
We should take them out.
Well, take them out.
Bell and Rogers.
Like out for lunch? Like,
let's take them out.
Just for like a good night to, wine and dine them and to say, hey, you shouldn't do this? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I was thinking there was a little bit of a darker undertone based on your tone of voice, but I'm glad you were thinking the positive aspect.
Yeah, man, you got to solve conflict with words.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of really staying positive, Ted Lasso won huge tonight, I would argue. And I think
huge.
We did expect that a little bit. And I'm very happy for that team because I really do love that show, as you do, as we've mentioned multiple times in this show, in this particular episode. But Jason Sudeikis won, which was fantastic. It won Best Comedy Series, which was awesome.
Hannah Waddingham won.
Yes.
For Best Supporting Actress. Brett Goldstein won for Best Supporting Actor. I actually watched a little YouTube snippet. I was seeing what I could find online with the Emmys, and it's just kind of him talking, being interviewed by 3 random, I guess, reporters, just asking him a question, and he seemed very humbled by the experience. It was really nice to kind of see him, and it's weird not hearing him talk in his character's voice, that raspy, lower voice. He actually just has a regular British voice.
Yeah, so too many smiles. He's a smiley man.
Yeah. it threw me off. But I don't know. It was, again, it was really nice to see him so happy, and then him just kind of recounting that story and how glad he took the risk about him sending in just like his audition tape for the show. And now 2 seasons in, he won Best Supporting Actor, and it's a pretty awesome experience for him.
Right. Yes. I don't think we mentioned that earlier on in this particular episode 64 of Split Focus. But we recorded this Emmys part after we recorded the rest of the show. So if this seems a little weird, like we're talking about something that we just talked about, or vice versa, it's because there's like a day gap between when we're talking about it. And I'm going to mention this actually a little later in the show again. So bear with us in terms of the time travel of what this podcast is. But anyway.
Yeah, we're talking about the future in the past.
Yes. Yes. No, I think we're talking about the past, no matter what, for the audience, because the audience is listening.
We're talking about the future in the future about the past. Okay.
I'm gonna leave that there and not try to unwind it to avoid wasting everybody's time. But yeah, moving back to even the format of the show. Actually, it was pretty good. I actually liked it. Okay, I know you can't speak to it because you didn't see it. Cedric the Entertainer was sure.
On CNN's live updates website, it gave you a notification anytime something happened, and I would just click it and refresh the page. Fantastically made website.
Oh, CNN's website was fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad you loved it, CNN. But I'm talking about the format of the actual Emmys, which were pretty good. I think Cedric the Entertainer did a good job. Reggie Watts was doing the music for the show. The best thing, though, by far, was Conan O'Brien's interruptions. He would just jump in randomly and start pretty much heckling people on the stage, which I thought was really, really quite ridiculous. But yeah, the president or the guy leading the charge for the Emmy Awards ceremony came up on the stage to announce the governor's award. And whilst he was actually announcing it, when he got on stage, because they announced he was coming out, Conan O'Brien just started yelling, "Yes, yes," like as loud as he could. And then he's standing there giving him like a salute the entire time he's doing the speech. And people were just like killing themselves laughing. And then also Stephen Colbert won for Best Live Show at one point, because he did a live show. And Stephen Colbert's team it won for Best Live Show. And Conan O'Brien, for whatever reason, went on stage with Colbert. Which was ridiculous. And Colbert talking about how he's so proud of the people behind him who helped him, except for some of the people behind him, because Conan O'Brien, and he's the most ecstatic looking person. He's got his arms around all of the people back there, and he has nothing to do with this. I don't know. It was very entertaining because Conan was just he's having a blast, man. I think he was just having a great time, and he wasn't really disruptive in a way that was it was
rude,
detrimental. I think it was just a good time, and it was hilarious.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like Conan.
Me too. I do too. And he's kind of a legend in a way. He's been doing this for so long, like this talk show gig, and now he's finally retiring in that exact format, I guess. He's doing another show, but it's interesting. The last thing we'll talk about format, and then we'll get to some of the other awards, is the In Memoriam was really good this time in a way that I feel like it's not bad. They're always good, but I just found it was heartfelt and sweet. And I thought that John Batiste and Leon Bridges, they're both great. And John Batiste was literally playing the guitar, and then they cut to the In Memoriam photos, and then he was on the piano suddenly midway through. And it wasn't comical at all, but I just thought this guy's ridiculously skilled at what he does. But yeah, it was really good. And there was a lot of focus on Michael K. Williams and, of course, comedian Norm Macdonald, who just passed away so recently that it was, I think, fresh in everybody's mind. And they mentioned it constantly. And it felt like the tribute to these Hollywood creators was handled better than it was for Chadwick Boseman at the Oscars. I actually arguably believe that this is a better show in general put together completely compared to the Oscars, although the Oscars was a little bit earlier in the pandemic, so it's hard to compare it maybe. But I just think that even the In Memoriam in the way that it was put together, and then the way that final award was presented with potentially something that Chadwick Boseman could have won, and they took a weird gamble, like a roll of the dice, saying, "Oh, maybe Chadwick Boseman would win," and then Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor. That was a really weird moment. So in contrast, at the Emmys, even though Michael K. Williams was nominated for his category of Best Supporting Actor, they didn't do some weird thing where they structured the show around maybe he'll win, even though he's a great actor and he did a great job in Lovecraft Country. They didn't do that thing where they structured the show. You know what I'm talking about, right? In the Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was very off-putting.
It was awkward and made no sense. And I don't think they did that here. I think that, again, they did it really well. And they mentioned it throughout this. Many presenters and winners were mentioning Michael K. Williams when they went up on stage. Producers like Lorne Michaels mentioned how, sad they were that Norm Macdonald had passed away, things like that. So again, it was handled with grace. That's what I would say. It was ultimately, it was all handled with grace, and the in memoriam kind of felt like it bled into the show in a way. It was great. But other than that, let's get back to some of the awards. And any awards stick out to you that you're like, I can't believe they won, or it's awesome that particular show or actor won?
Well, there was the one award for Outstanding Limited Series where I was super happy about, the Queen's Gambit winning that one. Again, I think we've both talked about Queen's Gambit plenty of times throughout this show's run since its release. And I really love that show, and I'm glad it's getting the recognition it deserves. There is a show on that list that I just really want to watch, though, and that's Mayor of Easttown.
I know.
I think won a bunch.
I think it's a good mention just because I thought that they might take that award, like for Best Limited Series, because it was kind of a toss up. It wasn't, like a Schitt's Creek situation where Schitt's Creek just won everything. Like they swept every award that they were a part of last year, although it's comedy versus drama and limited series. But I agree with you. Mayor of Easttown, very interested in watching that.
Yeah, it seems really good. And again, it won a bunch of awards. I know like The Crown won, like pretty much sweeped. Maybe not sweeped is the right word, but it won so many awards. But The Crown is one of those shows where I just know I probably wouldn't enjoy watching. So even though it's so well regarded, I'm probably never going to watch that show. Do you have any interest in watching The Crown?
I do a little bit. It's funny. I actually watched 3 episodes of The Crown long ago, like when The Crown first came out, because it was being, highly reviewed. People were thinking it was amazing, and I did watch a little bit of it, but then I don't know. It's not that it bored me, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. And it's a type of series that kind of, it's not one note, but it's pretty, I don't know. It's a very intellectual show. It actually reminded me in a weird way, not in style, but in the concept of it being a period piece, etc. Kind of like Mad Men, and that Mad Men, it's a bit of a slow burn, but it's satisfying when you get to the ending or the end of the series or season. So I think that I might go back into it. That's another one that I feel like I might go back in, but I'm way more likely to watch Mayor of Easttown, as you kind of mentioned there, especially because it's a limited series, and I don't have to watch like 5 seasons. But
yeah, exactly. I think that's on Crave TV, possibly.
Yeah, Mayor of Easttown is a HBO show.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Sweet. So that's good to hear. There's actually quite a few HBO shows and movies that like I'm tempted to bring back my my Crave subscription, because there's so many shows on that service, like HBO shows like Mayor of Easttown as an example, that I really want to watch. And then also the upcoming season of Dexter is coming back, and that's Showtime. And I believe Crave also has Showtime shows, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, cool. That's great. Yeah. The other show that I want to watch, actually, on that same vein, is Hacks, which is also on HBO. Should be on Crave too. And that won Best Comedy Writing and Best Comedy Directing. And Gene Smart also won for Hacks for Best Acting. So that's really good too. So, and like in a comedy series. So I do have an instinct to watch that series too, because it was very well regarded at this awards show anyway. That was my kind of my main takeaways is great that Queen's Gambit won, kind of like you mentioned there. Mayor of Easttown's a great thing to watch. The Crown's something I might want to get into eventually. And Hacks is something that I seem to want to get into as well, just based on how well it's regarded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly, maybe we've talked about Hacks before on the show, but I honestly don't remember ever hearing about it. Like I have no idea what it's about. So I'm definitely intrigued about watching that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's really the main things that won. I know Hamilton won for best like recorded play or whatever. That's not really a surprise though. That was Hamilton's great. I listened to that soundtrack for quite a while after watching that thing. But yeah, that's really all I have about the Emmys that I unfortunately couldn't watch and just saw live updates through CNN's website.
On the topic of Hamilton winning, I'm glad they won because it was great. It was a little weird because the actors, I don't know if we mentioned this when we talked about the Emmys a couple weeks back when the nominees were announced, but a lot of the actors were nominated in the outstanding actor or actress in a limited series or movie, which it is, I guess, a limited series or movie. But then it won for best variety or outstanding variety special pre-recorded, which is interesting because it's like almost like living in multiple categories. I don't know. In that variety special category, it was also Inside by Bo Burnham. And I don't know. That's I still think it might be my favorite thing I've watched this year. I just think it's so good. And I just kind of wish it wasn't against Hamilton because it almost, Hamilton living in like all of these categories almost seemed kind of unfair. And Hamilton's obviously incredible. It's a stage play though. So it's like a strange thing, but it is a special that's pre-recorded. So it's not like it doesn't fall into the definition of what that award is. It's just a little bit frustrating because I almost wish Inside was not in the category that it was in. Because again, Bo Burnham's Inside to me is incredible. And we've talked about that many times on this podcast. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of my key takeaways anyways for this whole endeavor. I'm sorry that you couldn't watch it. It's unfortunate.
It's okay, man. I'll live with it. Thanks for being sorry.
Yeah. It is what it is, I suppose. Okay, then.
It is what it is. We're going to take out Rogers and Bell.
To dinner or lunch?
Both.
Both. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent, Adrian. Number 2. As publication Variety reports, another HBO Max spin-off series is in the works for the upcoming Matt Reeves-directed Batman movie universe.
What?
This time, the series will center around villain Oswald Cobblepot, a.k.a. the Penguin, in his rise to power within the criminal underbelly of Gotham City. True Detective actor Colin Farrell will be playing Penguin in the upcoming movie, but Variety mentions that it is not yet confirmed whether we might see Farrell reprise his role within the new TV series. Warner Brothers seems to be betting relatively hard on the Matt Reeves Batman universe, as they have already committed to a movie trilogy and an HBO Max Gotham Police Department-based TV series. The Cobblepot-centric show is said to be executive produced by Matt Reeves himself and the Batman producer Dylan Clark. The script is reportedly being written by Impulse and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series writer Lauren LaFranc. Adrian, another show on HBO Max based on the Reeves-iverse, I don't know, the Matt Reeves-iverse Batman universe. It's terribly said, but anyway.
It should be the Bat Reeves-iverse.
Is that better?
Yeah, because it's like instead of Matt Reeves, it's Bat Reeves.
Bat Reeves. Oh, with 2 T's, of course.
Yeah.
The Bat Reeves-iverse. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't connect the dots. Well done.
No worries. That's why you have me on the show, baby. That's why you have me on the show.
Indeed. What do you think of this? What do you think about this? This is crazy. I know you love Matt Reeves because you really do like the Rise of the Planet of the Apes series or whatever, the new series with Dave Franco. No, James Franco. Dave Franco's not in that.
To be fair, James Franco isn't in the 2 movies that Matt Reeves directed, to be fair.
I know. That was why I said that. That was the joke. But then I accidentally said Dave Franco, who's not in any of the movies.
No.
But James Franco. Anyways.
I don't know. I find this quite interesting. There's a couple things to unpack here. One, if Colin Farrell doesn't reprise his role, that'll be kind of disappointing. It'll feel disconnected immediately.
Pointless.
And I don't want that to happen. So he better come back. If he doesn't, I just say throw this idea out the window personally. 2, I find it really interesting because Cobblepot is a main character in the already existing Gotham series that aired on Fox a couple years back. He was a main character on that one. And it feels like they're just kind of retreading. I know this is going to be it must be miles better. I'm sure it will be leagues better, but it just feels like they're retreading very familiar ground with these 2 shows that they are making. It's essentially just the Gotham show that we already got, but separated. If you catch my drift, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I suppose so. I'd imagine the quality is going to be a lot better. And this is a more traditional looking Penguin from my perspective, but
yeah, he's fat.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, okay? It's, yeah. Anyway, Robin Lord Taylor, by the way, from the Gotham series, might have been the highlight of that series. That's the funny thing about that, is that he's one of the bright spots of the Gotham TV series on Fox.
Yeah, I agree.
It is actually not a bad series. I didn't hate it. It's just, again, I said this before, and I don't know if I've said it on this podcast, probably, but the Gotham series makes no sense. You started the marketing campaign for the Gotham series by literally saying that you'll never see Batman wear his cape and cowl. The last shot of the film will be Batman wearing the cape and cowl. It's Bruce Wayne wearing the cape and cowl. So basically to say, this is not a show with Batman in it. Is that a good marketing campaign?
Like, this is Smallville.
Yeah, it's stupid though. Why though? It's just dumb. And it was not a bad show, but there was like a lot of this weird drama that it felt like a CW type series. I was not a big fan, but it's interesting. If Colin Farrell doesn't get the role, which I really do hope he does, like you mentioned, you can just give it to Richard Kind, you know?
Yeah.
Was that like are you acknowledging my joke and not laughing, or on purpose? Or you're kind of like, I'm confused. Are you there?
I'm also confused. Yeah, I'm here. No, I got the joke, because Richard, like Colin Farrell in the I wanted a pregnant pause, Simon. Yeah, because like literally Colin Farrell and all the makeup and stuff, he literally looks like Richard Kind. Like awfully similar. So yeah, I guess you could. That's, I guess, one way to make it feel not disconnected from this I guess Bat Reeves-iverse.
But Richard Kind sounds nothing like Colin Farrell, though. Like there's a whole different like acting situation. I don't know. It wouldn't be similar, but that was a joke floating around on the internet. I was hoping that you would reference that right away after I made the reference, but you had to pause. You know who didn't yes and in this situation? You didn't. You threw me. You basically hung me out to dry. You threw me off a bridge is what happened.
Oh my God.
And the audience was lost as well. That's what I feel like.
Now you're making it awkward.
You were like the Penguin. You were like Cobblepot.
Oh my God, dude. Now you're making it awkward, you little bozo.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, great times, honestly. I love doing this with you, man.
Yeah, I love doing it with you as well. Thank you for joining me every week. It's a good time.
No worries.
I wish we could do it more often. I wish we could talk outside this podcast. It's unfortunate that we can't converse outside this podcast.
Yeah. I just feel like the chemistry, the fiery chemistry won't be there if we talk more than once a week.
Yeah, we have this pent up attraction, and we have to.
Not sexual.
We have to blow the load as soon as we get on this podcast.
Now you're just going all in on the sexual innuendos.
Oh shit, that was sexual. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely Tobias Funcade that. I apologize.
Yeah. Classic. I love Arrested Development. But yeah, all in all, like I'm definitely intrigued by this. I think this is cool. I like the idea that they're going all in on this Bat Reeves-iverse and what they can kind of come up with and how interconnected all of this will be. Are they going to go, the extent of what Marvel is doing with, WandaVision, Captain Falcon and the Winter Man, and Loki, and how that is going to connect to the wider universe? Or is it going to be just kind of like little hints and nods and not really be referenced in the main movies? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Like, I hope it's definitely completely connected. Is that what you mean? You're worried about it not being connected?
No, not that it won't be connected, but like how connected will it be, sort of thing. Because I feel like the Marvel TV shows that we're getting are going to be directly referenced in the movie, or in the upcoming movies. Will we get the same thing from the Bat Reeves directed?
If it's not, it would be a terrible disappointment. That's what I would say.
I agree. Yeah. And again, Warner Brothers' track record in terms of like their TV series are a little bit hit or miss when it comes to like their DC related shows. Like, again, most of the CW shows I can't get into anymore. I think they're just not great. I know Superman and Lois is like very well regarded, but apparently that's a little bit more HBO Max-y, or it's funded by HBO Max more than the CW, if I read correctly. I might be wrong.
Well, it's the same company anyway, so I don't know if that really matters at this point. But
again, like Titans, that I don't think is fully well realized. Like, I think it's okay. Like, I watched the first season and it was enjoyable enough.
People
I
love
didn't
Doom
bother
Patrol.
watching season 2. But yeah, that's again, I would say the biggest outlier. Doom Patrol, and I guess again, Superman and Lois, they're both very well regarded. But I would argue there's more misses than hits, at least recently, in the TV show front.
Yeah, I would agree. I see this differently though, because they've never really done this. They've never done this thing where it's connected to movies, really. Like I don't know. This is almost uncharted waters for Warner Brothers. How well they will do this is kind of going to be telling. I'm so curious. And the thing is, I don't like any DC hero even remotely close to as much as how much I love Batman. So the fact that they're doing this for Batman, thank goodness. Like, thank goodness this is not for Superman or something. Instead, if it was for Superman, I'd take it. But I'm so glad this is the case. I imagine that first movie, though, the Batman with Robert Pattinson, is bad. That's the thing. Imagine it's a bad.
It's just not good.
Like it just gets review bombed. It's like 50% of Rotten Tomato. You don't know. Like Matt Reeves has a really good track record, but you don't really know ultimately. But yeah, even the cinematographer chosen for this, I'm pretty sure is the same cinematographer as for Dune. It's Greg Fraser, who I'm a fan of. So there's a lot of pieces. We've talked so much about how excited we are for this movie because of the trailer that came out, which is I feel like it's one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen. Maybe it is a really good trailer. It's amazing. So again, I can't speak enough about how excited I am for that first movie. And I just hope that they throw as many references to the rest of the trilogy as possible. Having Robert Pattinson in this, if this is a real HBO Max production, like Westworld's budget type of scenario, then we're talking. Then if you got Colin Farrell in it, you got what's his name? The Watcher.
Jeffrey Wright?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright. If we have Jeffrey Wright in it, man, that's where it's gonna shine. Not necessarily this series for the Cobblepot centric one, but the Gotham PD one, the Gotham Police Department based detective show type idea. Jeffrey Wright being in that, again, I can't express my excitement. Even just having Jeffrey Wright as a central character in another show I'm watching, I'm a fan. I'm in. So anyway, yeah, it's exciting.
Color me intrigued. I'm excited for DC Fandom or whatever it's called. It's coming up fairly soon. I'm sure we'll get a new Batman trailer out of that.
Yeah, it's a mid October, so it is fairly soon. Have you ever seen the trailer, or I don't think you've seen an episode for Impulse, which was a YouTube Red show written by Lauren LaFranc, who's writing the Cobblepot show?
Yeah, that was the sequel to Push, if I recall correctly.
Is that correct? I didn't know that. I actually, are you joking? I can't tell. I can't see.
No, I'm pretty certain about that. Let me just let me verify that. Impulse Push.
But it's relatively well reviewed. Like, people like that show. So it's interesting. I watched the trailer. I'm like, I don't really know what this is about, but it does look kind of intriguing.
Oh, sorry. Not Push, Jumper. Remember that Jumper movie?
Oh. I see. Isn't that worse?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember it.
Isn't Jumper with Hayden Christensen?
Yes, and Push is with Chris Evans.
Ah, okay. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, people like this show. How many YouTube Red shows have you seen? Because I know you were a YouTube Red, like a YouTube Plus or whatever it's called, subscriber for a while. I know you watched the Karate Kid spinoff, Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Cobra Kai. I watched Cobra Kai and I watched Wayne. Those were the two. But the main reason why I got YouTube Red was to not have ads on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And Cobra Kai was just a big bummer.
And then they lost Cobra Kai.
YouTube doesn't make any shows anymore. Like YouTube Red isn't a thing anymore. It's just ad free, and then music, I guess, included with it, which isn't too shabby. But yeah, Cobra Kai is awesome. Wayne was really good too. I'm disappointed that it only got one season and then canceled.
Yeah. Indeed. All right. Number 3. According to publication The Hollywood Reporter, Apple and producing partner Warner Brothers have concluded contract negotiations with the stars and writers for the Apple TV Plus comedy series Ted Lasso. The writers were meant to start season 3 pre-production in August, but negotiations took much longer than expected. Reportedly, all stars and writers were given hefty raises due to the success of the show's first and second season. For instance, Ted Lasso's executive producer, writer, and Emmy-nominated star Jason Sudeikis got a pay bump from $300,000 per episode for season 1 and 2 to a lofty $1 million per episode for season 3.
Holy shit.
Ted Lasso's showrunner, Bill Lawrence, is currently in negotiations with Warner Brothers TV to extend his overall deal with the company, which would likely permit him to showrun multiple high-caliber TV series simultaneously. As Jason Sudeikis has explained in previous interviews, Ted Lasso was initially conceived as a 3-season arc. But as the Hollywood Reporter points out, Apple, Warner Brothers, and showrunner Bill Lawrence would like the series to continue past that point due to its initial success. Interestingly, Warner Brothers owns the rights to Ted Lasso, despite it being a headline series for the Apple TV Plus streaming service. Apparently, Ted Lasso is potentially only a timed exclusive for Apple, with Warner Brothers waiting in the wings to collect the show once it completes its 3rd season. Currently, negotiations are being had between Apple and Warner Brothers, with Apple looking to purchase the exclusive rights to the series. Adrian, I would be amiss at this point in the podcast if I didn't mention that we recorded this part of the podcast before we recorded the bit about the Emmys, because we don't really know how Ted Lasso fared, considering it literally got 20 Emmy nominations, which was like a record-breaking type scenario, record-tying.
I can't believe it won all 20.
Right,
It's
yeah, we don't know whether they won because we're recording this bit of the podcast before we record the Emmy part of the podcast, just because we always record our episodes on Saturday, and obviously the Emmys are on Sunday, so we spliced in the part about the Emmys, basically, for my time's sake. From this news story, though, these negotiations that were had with the writers and the actors, the creators for this series, what are you thinking? I don't know if you knew that part about the fact that Warner Brothers own the rights to this, the linear rights to Ted Lasso. What are you thinking about that? And what do you make of the $1 million per episode that Jason Sudeikis is making? You think he's worth it or what?
I mean, again, like, it's not, the $1 million isn't coming out of my pocket, so I think it's definitely worth it because I'm getting a show this amazing. So I'm more than happy with Jason Sudeikis getting paid that much. Again, this show is phenomenal. I gushed about it a little bit at the beginning of the show, and I have multiple episodes, and I'm in love with this show. I think it's so freaking good, and I think everyone on it definitely deserves a pay increase. They're crushing it, dude. And I didn't know about the Warner Brothers thing. That's super interesting, actually. I think that's probably the most interesting part of this story. That if Ted Lasso finishes its season 3 run, and then after however long, a year or two, Warner Brothers takes that show away and puts it on HBO Max, it would be pretty wild, and it would be a huge loss for Apple. And that's super interesting. I've never really heard of these timed exclusives for original series on a network.
I called it timed exclusive because I know a little bit about the video game industry to some extent, so that's why I call it that. I just thought it was funny because that is kind of what it is. But they did mention that they could take it away. It is kind of a timed exclusive, though. Theoretically, like they could take it after the 3rd season. That contract is up, and they can take it back if they want, which is interesting. But that's the way the contract operates. And I thought, it kind of seems like how timed exclusives work on PlayStation or Xbox. Apologies to Kenneth Stadelpower for talking about video games.
Sorry, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. But yeah, it's interesting. I can't think of a situation like this, to be honest with you. I mean, there's obviously things like, Quibi shutting down and giving all of its content to Roku, and now that's Roku Original. Or again, we just talked about it, Cobra Kai, moving to Netflix as a Netflix original. But it's not like Netflix funded the show on YouTube or Roku funded the show on Quibi and then got it after. It's just because they shut down those services in particular. So again, I can't think of any example like this, and I find that like super interesting that that's how it's kind of working.
I think the best example of it maybe like Sony made that deal with Netflix that they would put after the theatrical run, they would put their Sony movies on Netflix, but then they come off of that and go into Disney Plus. It's like a weird, this is a weird unprecedented time. These are all different. Like that's a strange deal in general, but like they're all so weird now because there's so many damn streaming services. There's like a million of them. And so because there's so many of them, they're all contending with this concept where they kind of only really negotiated with these channels, which each of these big networks had already owned. Like NBC Universal owns Peacock. They own it. Like HBO, Warner Brothers owns HBO. Like they don't have to. It's kind of weird. Oh, a good example. this is a very odd situation, but Harry Potter's on Peacock. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it's going to come back, right? But it's just a strange situation. Yeah, there's nothing quite like this. So you're right. Like, I can't think, I'm sure there is, but I can't think of one off the top of my head that they actually did take it back. Like, Apple won't let this happen. If they let this happen, I'd be shocked. I think that they are going to negotiate either to own the linear rights, or they're going to negotiate with Warner Brothers to extend the contract, because apparently Warner Brothers wanted Apple to pay some of these salaries because almost everyone got a raise, like every actor, every writer, pretty much. I don't know if you know this, but Brett Goldstein is a writer on the show. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that. No, that's cool.
Brett Goldstein plays Roy Kent. If you're not aware, he's one of the soccer players, football players on the show. And he's a writer first. He was writing the characters, and he was right in the writer's room apparently, and he wrote scenes for Roy or whatever. And he's like, I wonder if anyone sees the fact that I am Roy Kent. And he's like, probably not. that's a pipe dream. But then he recorded himself saying lines as Roy Kent, and he sent it to Bill Lawrence and the team, and apparently they loved it, so that he became Roy Kent.
That's awesome.
Which is quite a neat story. Yeah, he told that on Jimmy Kimmel, I think. Jimmy Kimmel Live. But anyway, yeah, that's a cool thing. And coach, sorry, I don't remember the actor's name. He's great too. Assistant coach.
God, I forget his name as well.
Brendan Hunt. He plays Coach Beard. But Brendan Hunt as well, he's also a writer.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and Jason Sudeikis, of course, is a writer too. Like, Jason Sudeikis is kind of a one-man show. Well, not really. Bill Lawrence is show running it, but he's writing it, he's executive producing it, and he's the headline star. So,
Yeah, what makes this even more interesting as well is I don't know if you know this. I don't know if we've mentioned this on the podcast. We may have. But that Ted Lasso initially started off like as a character by Jason Sudeikis, and Coach Beard was also a part of it on NBC Sports. And like Jason Sudeikis would show up as like a character called Ted Lasso, and it was on NBC Sports Network. And there's it's
crazy. I read that part of this article from the Hollywood Reporter. This Hollywood Reporter article was great. But yeah, I think that, I learned that there. I didn't know that before. And we definitely didn't talk about it on the podcast because I would have been like, what? If we went back in time and had that conversation. But yeah, we didn't. So that's a crazy thing too.
And we can time travel.
We can, or?
Yeah, we can.
No. Oh, I see. Because we're a time traveling podcast. Oh, you're making a reference to our previous episode. Episode 63. Oh, you're so clever. But I didn't know that. It's pretty cool. That's a really neat thing too. Yeah, it's quite the gem, honestly. Bill Lawrence has had not failures, but he's had a bunch of start and stop shows that just didn't pick up. Like they were good potentially, but they just didn't get the viewership that they needed for Warner Brothers. And I think it's kind of interesting that this particular show, like the other shows, I think a lot of them were on like Warner Brothers networks, and then this one kind of went to Apple. And coincidentally, it's like, it's an incredible hit. So Warner Brothers is kind of feeling it. They're like, this kind of sucks. Like, we're not getting the full revenue that we could be making from this. Like, this is a gem that we could have had on our kind of struggling streaming service, or at the time, at least, it was struggling when this show first came out and started getting really big, like Ted Lasso. So it's kind of an interesting situation that they might love to have this show back because of how successful it is. It's like a double-edged sword for Apple. They're like, damn it, we should have purchased the linear rights right away. And Warner Brothers is like, damn it, we thought this was not going to be that great. Or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, why did they give this to Apple? Just like, why did they give, I guess, not really exactly the same. Like, I still don't understand this, but why didn't they give Peacock Harry Potter? It just doesn't make sense. Like, it's your crown jewel, and you're going to give it to another streaming service that's just starting out as well? It's shocking. But anyway.
It is. It is shocking, but I'm glad it's doing well, and I'm curious how it'll all unfold. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I hope Ted Lasso keeps on going, but I don't want it to be a show that eventually falls downhill. Like, if they tell their story in the 3 seasons,
right? Do you think that they should continue? They are planned. That was the plan. 3 seasons. Yeah. Like the showrunner, Apple, Warner Brothers seem to want to make it keep going. Would you stop it after 3 seasons?
If they have more story to tell and they know what they want to do.
I think if Sudeikis legitimately has more story to tell and it's not just a payday, that would be
then I'd be happy about that. But I don't want. I feel like a lot of shows, can fall victim. Not many, but are actually arguably many. They do fall victim of hey, let's keep it going because it's popular, and then it ultimately begins to go downhill. I think of Supernatural as a prime example where it was envisioned as a 5-season story arc, and the first season's kind of like, you get to know the characters, it's monster of the week, and then same with the second season a little bit. But once it gets into the third season and they continue that big arc that they've been setting up those first 2 seasons, and it reaches its climax at season 5, that I think is when the show peaked, at least for me. And then season 6 was like, okay, what do we do? How can we kind of continue this ending that it felt like a definitive ending and should have been a definitive ending? And then it kind of floundered for a few seasons. And I know, Supernatural went on for like 15 seasons almost. So, obviously people still loved it, but I don't think it ever reached that, high quality of TV that it was at, in seasons like 3 to 5.
It's corporations versus creatives. That's basically what it is. That's 13 Reasons Why.
Exactly. Holy fuck.
So awful. God. But there's so many of those. It's like, it's insane. There's a lot of them. I wish there weren't, but that's just the way it is. That's why I admire Vince Gilligan so much. He had the show at the peak of its viewership numbers. Like, it was doubling its numbers in its last season. And yet he's like, no, it's over. It's done. I have no more story to tell. This is the series I envisioned. This is how it ends. It's funny because he's a guy who actually does things off the cuff a little bit. Like Better Call Saul, he thought it was going to be like 2 seasons, and he kept telling more stories. He's like, actually, we can do this. And he just kept going, which is funny. It's not like he planned it, but he knew when to end. Like, he wants it to be something succinct, something that people will remember. And it's one of the greatest shows I've ever made. Better Call Saul is. Breaking Bad is. Better Call Saul, I would agree, is actually...
Yeah, me too.
One of the greatest shows ever made, but Breaking Bad is known as one of the greatest shows ever made, like publicly, and not just privately in Simon and Adrian's heads.
That's true.
It's weird. Again, Better Call Saul not getting the love that Breaking Bad did is still shocking to me. It still doesn't make any sense, but I don't know. Even now, like, I don't know, maybe it didn't qualify. Maybe it was a different season, but it didn't get nominated for this Emmys at all, I don't think. I didn't notice it.
No, it was supposed to be last year. Remember, I believe we talked about the Emmys last year and how upset we were that season 5 wasn't nominated for Best Drama Series or whatever the hell. Or it had so few.
I was wondering if it was season 4 because the Emmys aired at a weird time, but maybe it was season 5. Yeah, it was weird. Last year was shocking. It was nominated for Best Drama at the Emmys last year, but it was everything else that it wasn't nominated for that was shocking, I think, to both of us. Because again, season 4 and season 5 were both amazing for that series. But anyways, I digress. Let us move on to the montage.
Oh.
A sequence of our show in which I briefly present the week's smaller news stories as Adrian delivers a brisk verdict. Number 1, as Deadline reports, the High School Musical TV series has been renewed for a 3rd season on streaming service Disney+.
Interesting. Apparently it's good, and it's called The High School Musical, the series.
Number 2, as reported by Deadline, the Steve Martin short Hulu comedy series Only Murders in the Building has been renewed for season 2.
Also starring arguably the most popular person in that series, Selena Gomez.
Yeah, yes. She's really good in it. We've watched like 5 episodes. Amazing. It's really great. Nice. Number 3, as Variety reports, Game of Thrones actor Gwendolyn Christie has been cast as Morticia in Netflix's upcoming live-action Addams Family spin-off series, Wednesday.
That's a very good casting choice. Very good.
Number 4, as reported by Variety, Breaking Bad star Kristen Ritter has now also been cast in the upcoming HBO Max 1980s-based true crime series Love and Death. Actors Jesse Plemons, Lily Robb, and Elizabeth Olsen are also a part of the cast.
That's a quality cast. Kristen Ritter is the queen of goth.
Number 5, as Deadline reports, The Boys actress Elizabeth Shue has been cast in the Showtime series Super Pumped, The Battle for Uber, alongside actors Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Kyle Chandler.
Oh, right on. Quality casting choice. Joe Gorlev. Love that guy. As well as,
Apparently that's actually, it's an anthology series. I think we probably mentioned that weeks back, but I didn't really, acknowledge it recently. So this should be potentially about another big tech company and the rise of that tech company in later seasons, I assume. But I guess we'll see.
That's cool. Neat idea.
Number 6. As director Olivia Wilde announced on social media, her next film, Don't Worry Darling, starring Florence Pugh and Harry Styles, will officially premiere in theaters on September 23rd, 2022.
Oh, okay. This is, it seems like a big departure from her first film, which is Booksmart. This seems more of a thriller. It looks neat.
Number 7. As The Hollywood Reporter notes, HBO's Michael Mann and Destin Daniel Cretton directed crime drama series Tokyo Vice will star Ansel Elgort, Ken Watanabe, Hideaki Ito, Sho Kasamatsu, and Tomihisa Yamashita.
This seems super interesting. It kind of reminds me of like what's the goddamn show called? Giri Haji, a little bit, but it's going to be taking place in Tokyo as opposed to like London or something.
Yeah, I had the same thought, East versus West. Is that what you were about to say before?
That's what I was about to say, yeah.
Number 8. As Variety reports, Schitt's Creek co-creator Dan Levy has signed an 8-figure overall deal with Netflix to create both film and TV content for the streaming giant.
Oh, good for him. That's a lot of figures.
Number 9. According to Deadline, Captain America actor Anthony Mackie has just been cast as John Doe in the upcoming Sony Pictures live-action TV series adaptation for the PlayStation video game series Twisted Metal.
Apologies to Kenneth Stadler for talking about video games.
Number 10. As Deadline reports, actors Giancarlo Esposito, Paz Vega, and Rufus Sewell have all been cast in the Netflix heist thriller series Jigsaw for Netflix, which is currently shooting in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, interesting. This is not connected to the Saw universe, I imagine.
Don't believe so. No. And that concludes the montage.
Montage time. That's what's up. The montage is over. That's what's up.
I wanted to mention just briefly about that Giancarlo Esposito headlining series. It's apparently being produced by Eric Garcia and Ridley Scott for Netflix. And this is the interesting thing that's written here about this. It's about a real life story. Approximately, it takes place over a course of 24 years or something like that, in which $70 billion in bonds go missing. This is I'm reading kind of from that Deadline article, and this is the line here that they describe the series as. It's in quotations. It says the Netflix calls this a non-linear approach to storytelling in a way where viewers are in control.
Like a Bandersnatch type thing, or a You versus Wild type thing?
I don't know, but this is a bigger deal than those shows, potentially, in that we got some pretty big actors here. And Ridley Scott's involved, and it's quite interesting. Netflix has claimed that they want to get into video games. So I'm curious, maybe it's going to be more involved than those series. Maybe it's going to be a bigger headlining series. Kind of excited for this. It seems cool because it's a heist thriller with Giancarlo Esposito. And in general, that's awesome. Yeah, apparently, during Hurricane... Which hurricane was it now? Sorry.
Tortilla?
Sandy. During Hurricane Sandy in Manhattan, that's when they do this heist. Yes.
Interesting.
Jai Courtney's in it as well.
I like Jai Courtney.
Yeah. Anyway.
Real quick, just so I don't come off as offensive, I said, when you were like hurricane and I said tortilla, that's a reference to a Vine from back in the day. So I just want to be clear, not making fun of the tragic hurricanes. It's just a Vine reference.
Yes. It's a bit of an outdated reference.
Hurricane Katrina, more like Hurricane Tortilla. Do you remember that
What does that even mean, though? What does it mean?
It's this kid, and he's in his pantry, and he's grabbing like a bags of tortilla chips or whatever, tortillas, and they fall. And he's and all he says is that's what he says. That's what he says. It's 7 seconds long, Simon. You can fucking watch it quicker than I'm explaining this goddamn thing. Just search up Hurricane Tortilla. Yeah,
this is a part of our regular, scheduled programming for our show where you explain Vine videos from 2010. Yeah. Very good.
Classic.
Very good, Adrian. Thank you.
I miss Vine.
Thank you for your service. What do you got for me, Adrian? What do you got for me?
I got Vine videos for you, Simon.
No.
I'm just kidding. I got new releases for you. And this is for the week of September the 20th to September the 26th. That is a Monday to a Sunday. And the first two movies, there's not many movies coming out this week. Let me just be honest with you. At least I couldn't find too many movies. Now, apparently there's 2 Amazon Prime Video movies that are coming out. I didn't add them to the list because I saw them on Movie Insider. And then when I looked into it, I could not find it for the life of me anywhere else. I looked at the trailers. For one of those movies, I literally couldn't even find it anywhere on Google other than on Movie Insider. And I was like, what the fuck? And then the other one, I looked at multiple sources. I looked at the trailer, and then there was no other release date other than from the Movie Insider. So I decided to leave them off the list.
I see.
That's what I did. Anyways, the first two movies coming out this week are coming out on Wednesday, the 22nd. And the first one is a Netflix original movie called Intrusion. And it's a deadly home invasion leaves a wife looking for answers as she learns that this was only just the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah. By the way, one of these I totally plagiarized, and I'm curious if you'll know which one it is.
Okay.
In this list of movies. Okay.
Okay, I'll try and point it out.
Okay. Next up is Confessions of an Invisible Girl. This is a Netflix original movie, and it's a little awkward girl goes to a new school and wants to make some new friends. But this one bitch is just being a total bully to her and has different ideas in mind.
It's not that one.
No, it's not. That's a good get. That's a good guess. Friday the 24th. The Starling is up next, and this is a Netflix original movie starring Melissa McCarthy. Stars in this movie about loss, marriage, and a feisty bird that just won't leave her fucking garden alone.
Oh, not that one either.
No, actually, that's the one I plagiarized directly from Netflix, man. Straight from the description.
No,
I'm just kidding.
It is
I'm
not.
just kidding. Next up is My Little Pony, A New Generation. This is a Netflix original movie, and it's super weird that people are just so infatuated with these weird fucking horses, and some people just make like weird ass porn out of it. Those brony dudes and stuff. I've mentioned bronies before on the show. It's a weird fetish. I don't get it. It's weird stuff. To each their own, but they're ponies. Like what? Anyways.
Yeah, it's very strange. And this is also not a plagiarized.
No, actually, this one was the plagiarized one. Straight
no,
from
it wasn't. You're going to say that every time now. Stop. I don't buy it.
East of the Mountains is up next. This is confirmed by Movie Insider and the Apple TV app. This is a video on demand movie, and it's about a man that takes his dog back to his childhood home after he discovers that he himself has cancer.
No, not this one.
Okay, fair enough. Next up is Solitary. This is Movie Insider and Apple TV, confirmed by those websites. This is a video on demand movie, and it's a bottle film, but in space, in a spacecraft, in a prison cell with a cellmate hell bent on destroying everything.
You like a bottle film, as in like it's
like a bottle episode, but it's a film.
Like a bottle episode, but it's a film.
Yeah,
you definitely wrote that one.
No, that's actually straight from the description from the Apple TV app. Anyways, next up is Apache Junction.
Is it? I don't understand anymore. You're crying wolf so many damn times. Now I can't see your face. I don't know if you're joking. That isn't from the description, right? You definitely wrote that.
Yeah, I did. Apache Junction is up next. It's confirmed
what kind of game is this? The rules are all over the place.
It's confirmed by Movie Insider and the Apple TV app. This is a video on demand movie, and it's about a young reporter that travels into hostile lands to get the story of the century in the year 1881.
Huh, that one could be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so though, because you wouldn't. I don't think we would be playing this game if it was one like this. I think you wrote this.
Okay, maybe. No, actually, that's the one straight from the description from the Apple TV app, baby. Anyways, up next is Through the Glass.
What are you playing here? Why are you? Is it or is it not?
Through the Glass Darkly is up next. This is confirmed by Movie Insider and the Apple TV app. This is a video on demand movie, and it's a woman's daughter disappeared a year ago. Now another young girl vanishes. Convinced these two disappearances. Sorry, I spelled two wrong there. Let me fix that.
Yeah, that's not that one. You wrote that.
No, I didn't copy and paste any of these. This plagiarized one. Convinced these two disappearances are connected, she stops at nothing to reveal the truth.
What are you waiting for?
All right, Lone Wolf is up next. It's confirmed by Movie Insider and the Apple TV app. It's a video on demand movie. In an obscure bookstore, a group of environmental activists meets in secret. An idealist and her boyfriend want to disrupt the G20. Meanwhile, the Minister of Justice is watching video footage, which can tell an interesting story.
I think you plagiarized that one.
I did plagiarize that one. You got it, man. You got it. That's straight from the description.
Ding, ding, ding.
What does that mean?
In an obscure bookstore, a group of environmental activists meets in secret. Okay. An idealist and her boyfriend wants to disrupt the G20. Meanwhile, the Minister of Justice is watching video footage, which can tell an interesting story.
Like what?
The last sentence is the one that's like, why?
I was very confused, and that's why I plagiarized it. I was like, this sounds like something I would write, but like almost more nonsensical. I feel like even my write-ups make a little bit more sense. I was like, what the fuck is this? And that's why I wanted to play the game.
It is strange. Is it look good? Like, did you see the trailer for this?
No, I didn't look at the trailer. I just saw the poster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
that's fair.
Let's confirm my movie inside on the Apple TV app. I don't remember if I said that. Anyways, up next is Man in the Field, the life and art of Jim Denevin. It's confirmed by the most reliable source on the internet, m.the-numbers.com, and in the Apple TV app. It's a video on demand movie, and this is exactly what the title says it is. It's about a man in the field, and that's Jim Denevin, and it's about his life and art of his.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then, Simon, the final movie that is coming out this week is a movie called Dear Evan Hansen. And this is coming out to theaters. It's confirmed by Cineplex. This looks sad, and apparently it's based on a stage play. It's about this kid that's bullied by this other kid, and that kid commits suicide, but he steals a note from Evan Hansen, and Evan Hansen writes notes to himself to make him feel better. But then the kid that committed suicide, his parents find the note and is like, "Oh my God, you were like friends with my son," but in reality, the kid that committed suicide was actually bullying Evan Hansen.
Oh,
that's the premise of the movie. Seems kind of...
I didn't really quite know that was the stage play's premise. I think we had a chance to see that movie when we were both in New York together. It was a really weird trip because we couldn't talk outside this podcast.
Never will.
But we were together for four days in New York. It was very unusual. New York City.
Yeah.
And we went to see...
Book of Mormon.
Mormon, yes.
The Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon instead, yeah.
Just Mormon people, not the play.
Yeah, we just went to see Mormon people. We actually decided to leave Broadway. Like, screw this. And we went to the countryside and visited with some Mormons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's what happened.
Anyways, that's it. That's all, baby. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I appreciate you making this list as always. It was very entertaining. It was interesting to pick out which one of these was
That was a fun game.
It was a farce.
That was a fun game.
Yeah.
You gotta admit.
Yeah, incredible. It was incredibly fun. Yeah, maybe I should have waited to the end and then guessed to make it more dramatic, just in case it was in the beginning. Because if it was in the beginning, it would have not been very entertaining.
That's
like, oh, the game's over.
That's why that's why I pretty much put it at the end, just in case.
Yeah. That's fair.
I thought of it as soon as I read that title. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I was like, "I'm gonna make a fun game out of this."
Indeed, it was fun.
And then I'm gonna continue doing the bit where I'm like, "Actually, that was in the description." Even
that was a little annoying, I'm not going to lie, but the rest of it was good. But yeah, thank you for again making up this list. Thank you for joining me, Adrian. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we leave? Because this is the end of our regular scheduled programming.
Support your local theater if it's safe to do so.
Theater.
You making fun of my speech impediment?
No, not at all.
Feels like you are.
But I agree with you. You should support your local theater because they're struggling at the moment for obvious reasons. But please write into us at splitfocuspodcast@gmail.com. Comments, questions, corrections, we will address them on our show. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, or on YouTube if you'd like. And thank you for listening to the 64th episode of Split Focus, a film and TV podcast. My name is Simon Eady, and this is Adrian Pinter signing off.
Hey guys, it's me, Adrian Pinter, and I'm so happy about all those Emmy wins. I was like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Like, wow, I can't believe this person won this Emmy and this show won this Emmy. But you know what should have won an Emmy? Batman v Superman. It's a great movie. Anyways, take care. Goodbye.
You could have legitimately just argued that Batman vs. Superman did win an Emmy because you can't possibly know what won an Emmy. Wasn't it crazy in the award show at the 73rd annual Emmys when Batman vs. Superman took home Best Drama Series?
I could have done that, but I decided to go my way, Simon. And you know what they say, my way or the highway, baby. My way or the highway.
Alrighty. Goodbye.